What's up, dudes and dudes to the internet? My name's Seth, and today we're going to be talking about the Trove Eclipse craftable dragons. We're going to be avoiding the Divinity Dragon because technically I don't really consider that to be a craftable dragon because it's time gated and it's not something that you can actually farm. So for today, we're going to be focusing our attention on some more specifications to how you actually farm each of the individual dragons, as well as we're going to be talking about the new drop rate increase or decrease, however you want to put it. Personally speaking, I'm just going to say it straight up. I think that they ended up making the dragon fragments possible to get instead of being impossible. That said, there's a bit of random number generation going on, or RNG, that we are going to talk about accordingly. So first of all, let's get right to it. This is going to be the Cami dragon. I'm going to kind of be skipping through, not showing necessarily the video effects of each of the dragons and stuff like that, because of course I do have respective videos for each of the dragons. There will be a playlist in the description if you want to check out all the dragons specifically. So if we come over here to the crafting table, he's going to be right up here, all nice and hidden. The way that you actually get the Cami dragon fragments hasn't really changed. They're going to be extremely rare from the Shadow Vaults. That is the chest that you actually open with a Shadow Key, Moon Key, or Eclipse Key from the Shadow Titan bosses, is going to have a very, very rare chance of actually dropping the Cami dragon egg fragment. And I mean very rare, like it's absolutely insane. Or you can end up getting these fragments out of the neon enemies over in the neon biome. They have to be specific robot enemies that you actually go out and kill. And also I do want to give a little pro tip to players that are new to the game. When you go to a wave machine, let's say you find one that kills 10 enemies or kill 30 enemies and stuff like that, don't bother wasting your time farming those guys over and over because they can actually not drop anything. You got to find an organic enemy out in the world and stuff like that, right? So again, we're going to talk about the way that the fragments end up working in a little bit here because I want to just skim over each of the dragons respectively before we end up getting to all of that stuff. So then we've got the ice dragon right here, which is absolutely beautiful. It has like tons of crazy video effects. I just ended up launching a video very recently of actually getting in. The crafting components for it are not particularly difficult just because the amount of glacial shards. You can kind of average from 20,000 and up to any number, honestly speaking, to end up actually getting the ice dragon fragment because it's going to end up dropping very rarely when you farm glacial shards. Now, I do want to point out, because I always get this question, can you actually use bombs or do you have to use your laser mancy? No, don't worry about that. You can use your bombs to end up actually getting the glacial shards, and it will not change the percentage chance of actually getting the dragon itself. You can also go to any of the Uber worlds for the permafrost. You know, you're going to want to go to the adventure world so that you can actually spawn more of the biome and go and get as many glacial shards as possible. Then we've got the Fey dragon right here, or the bat spider, or spider bat, which is absolutely disgusting. Now, while originally the devs ended up telling us that this dragon was exclusive to the Fey spiders, it turns out that this dragon drops from any spider enemy in the game. Now, I don't know whether or not that means that we can get it from neon spiders. Devs never confirmed that one, but they did say that at least the normal spiders, like the Highland spiders and the ones from the Fey biome, they're going to end up being a place where you can end up getting the fragments for this dragon. It wouldn't really make sense to me for the fragments to end up dropping from, you know, the neon biome, because that is, again, where the Cami dragon ends up coming from, right? And while lots of people were very confused, why is it called a spinner dragon egg fragment? Spiders spin webs, right? That's the pun. That's why it's there. And unfortunately, none of these other resources give any indication to how you actually farm this dragon, which is absolutely crazy. And then we've got the dragon, the dinosaur dragon, which he is another one, just like the Cami one, which is absolutely impossible to grind. You're going to get his fragments very, very rarely from dragon enemies. Now, or not dragon enemies. I keep messing that up. From Jurassic enemies. Now, one thing that I want to point out specifically is that you actually farm his fragments from dinosaurs only, folks. So if you go into a Jurassic biome and you find like the caveman enemies or like the recipe dungeon shadow enemies and stuff like that, don't even bother with them. They're not going to count. They're going to be from dinosaurs and lizards and crazy stuff like that only. And I don't mean lizards from the desert biome or anything like that. Jurassic enemies exclusively, and it has to be a dinosaur. And again, we're going to talk about in a minute why, the drop rates are increased, but why they're actually like really bad, especially for like farming a whole bunch of enemies and stuff like that. Then we've also got the Bismuth dragon right here, or Bismuth. I just call it Bismuth. I think that's how it is in the game, but the dragon itself, or the material itself in real life is called Bismuth or something. I don't know, who cares. This guy is going to be exclusive from Infinium. I know, right? That's insane. So what you can actually do is Infinium generally is going to end up spawning a lot more often in like Fey biomes, sometimes in medieval, but honestly I would stick to Fey biomes if you can, you know, and then just go to the Fey biome accordingly, which is that U2 or U1? I'm not exactly sure, whatever, who cares. In any case, you're gonna have plenty of Infinium ore by the time you end up getting all of the fragments. However, you can end up getting extremely lucky and just getting the dragon right away, or it could take like 50 years. Legit, it's that ridiculous, and again, we'll talk about why in a minute. But overall, this dragon is extremely cheap considering how beautiful he is. And then we've got the Floral dragon, or the Petal dragon, Petelia, or whatever it's called, which steadily seems to be everyone's favorite dragon. Just out of all the responses that I've got from most of you guys and gals in the comments section and in Twitter and stuff like that, it just seems like everybody really likes this dragon. Not to mention a lot of other Trove YouTubers absolutely love this one. You know, I've seen their thumbnails and I've seen the titles of their videos where it's like, oh dude, this dragon is beautiful and everything like that. It's going to be exclusive from sunlight bulbs. Well, originally there was a lot of confusion to how you actually get this dragon because the devs ended up telling us it was just from harvested plants in general, and everybody was hoarding all of their harvested materials, getting steed feed and everything else, and rich fertilizer, and everything was getting overly prepared for it, and then suddenly they end up going, oh, whoops, sorry guys, we didn't tell you, but it's actually just sunlight bulbs only, which, since the Eclipse update, the Peaceful Hill biome, which spawns the gigantic sunflower dungeons exclusively, which is where you get sunlight bulbs, by the way, that is going to be, like, those biomes spawn a little bit more often in the Eclipse update, so it's a little bit easier to get. Honestly speaking, out of all the dragons, I would say that this is the easiest one to get, just because the sunlight bulbs are in such vast supply. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute, and then otherwise you see it's different resources right here. Rich fertilizer, for those of you that do not know, you gotta go over to the gardening bench, and then you gotta make unripe compost, which is going to end up turning into rich fertilizer after an hour. Yeah, so if you're wondering where you get water, you gotta craft the sponge, then you throw that into water. You can't do it in a club world. Well, you can do it in a club world, but the biome has to be open, and then you're going to end up getting water in your inventory that you then end up using to end up crafting the rich fertilizer, right? And then last but not least, of course, we do have the Void Dragon. Not much has changed with this dragon at all. The dragon fragments are going to be extremely rare out of the shadow caches that you end up grinding out of your shadow towers and everything like that. He's going to be extremely costly. You know, while originally I thought it was going to cost 5 fragments because on the test server, I'm pretty confident that it was 5 fragments. Maybe I'm dead wrong about that, but I just seem to recall the devs actually saying in a stream once that they were going to up it to 50 fragments, and then I forgot when I made the video and whatever. I just left it in because I thought it was kind of funny how, you know, I reacted so accordingly, because I don't lie in my videos like acting. I just, you know, it's like an organic experience. But anyways, who cares? So 50 fragments, which is insane. In order for me to end up getting this dragon, it was very rare and ended up costing me pretty much around 10 mil. Other people end up getting the fragments very commonly. I can't honestly say whether these fragments have actually been improved as far as the drop rates are concerned, because I don't know. I haven't really seen any of the new fragments, like the Void Watcher fragments, dropping out of the caches or anything like that. Now, let's talk about why the drop rates are so, like, all over the place for each of these dragons. Now, the reason why, and this is just kind of a guess right here, but you know, I've been playing Trove for a long enough time that I'm pretty confident that this is the reason why some of the drop rates are kind of like all over the place with these things, is because I think that the drop rates for each of the different fragments is set. It's all the same drop rates. However, what the devs didn't seem to take into account, near as I can tell anyways, is that glacial shards, for example, you bomb them, you know, you find a little ore vein, you're going to get maybe 10 glacial fragments or something like that, right? So that's 10 chances of actually getting the fragment, as opposed to the ones where you have to kill enemies, like the Jurassic enemies or the Cami one where you have to kill the neon enemies. They have the exact same drop rate, except you have to kill 10 enemies as opposed to just bombing one ore vein and getting the 10 fragments, right? or getting the 10 glacial shards, I mean, not the dragon fragments, obviously. And that's kind of why the floral dragon seems to be the easiest to craft, or easiest dragon eggs to end up farming, is just because of the fact that the sunlight bulbs are in the most supply. Like when you go to a sunlight dungeon and walk through it like a crazy person, you're gonna end up getting like maybe 100 sunlight bulbs, if not more, right? So that's 100 chances of actually getting the dragon fragment, as opposed to the glacial shards is much less, and of course killing the enemies is absolutely ridiculous. Like I've seen people that since the update, since the change to the drop rates, they've actually farmed like 20 to 30 hours of just farming the specific enemy types, and they haven't gotten a single one. However, I have seen out of all the ones that drop out of just like ore and just like, you know, the ones that you end up getting more quantity of the item that can potentially end up dropping the fragment, those dragons I've actually seen crafted a lot faster. You know, even the glacial dragon, I got very lucky and grinded it maybe within like 5 hours or something like that. It was definitely under 8, but it might have been a little bit over 5. I don't know. You know, then there was another person like my friend Valor Warrior who ended up grinding it over like 10, 20 hours or something like that, because that's the whole thing too, is Trove in general, and I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here that's separate from the dragon fragments specifically, but Trove has complete random number generation when it comes to its drop rates. It's not like other video games where you slowly end up increasing your chances of actually getting that drop over time, just because of the fact that your odds just become that much better because of the fact that you're dedicating that much time to it. No, no, no. Trove, your drop rate chance of actually getting these can potentially never increase. Meaning that, let's just say as an example, let's just say that this is a 0.5 chance of this actually dropping. That's going to be 0.5 chance every single time. Not, oh, by that logic, I should be able to get this after 50,000 fragments or 50,000 glacial shards. No. That doesn't necessarily mean that that is the case. Somebody is going to end up getting these fragments within 2 seconds, and then another person's going to end up having to grind it for a week. And forget about the enemy drop ones. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, you can end up getting, like if you're a pay-to-win player, or if you have lots of flux and stuff like that, of course the greater dragon caches are going to end up dropping the golden dragon egg for each of the dragons, excluding the void dragon and the divinity dragon. The divinity dragon, there is no way of actually getting it. And the dragon effigy, which is going to end up showing in the shop apparently every 7 weeks, which is ridiculous from what I hear, if that's actually how often it shows up. But the dragon effigy is going to end up unlocking any dragon that you don't have. And it's going to be completely random which dragon it ends up unlocking. So hopefully you got all the other dragons out of the way before you end up trying to go for the Eclipse ones, right? However, that item specifically is not going to work on the void dragon or the divinity dragon either. So don't get it for that. I would honestly recommend, if you're a pay-to-win player, to always buy the dragon effigy every time it shows up, just because of the fact that we know there's going to be more dragons that they're going to end up adding. And I really, really hope, fingers crossed here, that the devs are not going to incorporate this new fragment system for all of the dragons henceforth, because it's kind of poop. Like, for farming the different ores and resources and stuff like that, okay, that's fine having a 0.5% drop chance. I'm not saying that's the actual number, I'm just using that as an example. But having the 0.5% chance drop on enemies that you kill, that definitely needs to be rebalanced, because otherwise killing enemies, like I haven't heard of anybody that's actually gotten a fragment from the enemies. I'm sure somebody has. I'm sure somebody's watching this video and going, it wasn't that easy for me, or it wasn't that hard for me. But you gotta remember, it's completely random. Somebody could end up taking like a whole week, months to end up grinding all of these dragons, whereas other players might just end up getting them right away. Like I said, I got very, very lucky with my glacial dragon egg fragments, because I've heard of other people that have dedicated a lot more time to it and gotten nothing out of it. Either way, folks, I hope this video summarizes all of the Eclipse dragons as to the best of my abilities that I can. I hope this video was helpful to you. Again, you know, I felt that this was very appropriate because of the fact that I wanted to talk about the increased fragment drop rates, as well as just how, you know, some of the dragons, we've gotten a little bit more information, like the spider bat dragon, of course, you know, the fact that it's just any type of spider enemy, excluding the neon ones, of course. But in any case, that's already it. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily content, as well as building up loyalty points for my merch store. Links are in the description for that. Sayonara, and stay epic, everybody.